Hello, everyone. This is Lee Andrews with another Live with Lee and a very special guest today. First time appearance, I think, ever on a live feed in LinkedIn across all social platforms. And I'd like to introduce Darcy. Oh gosh, I'm going to do it again. Boegner. Okay, I practiced this, but it clearly didn't take. And today we're going to talk about CHRA, which is short for the Chesapeake Human Resources Association. And the reason that I've asked Darcy to be part of this is because CHRA, even though it's a super mega chapter, and everybody knows SHRM, we don't always know the people that are serving all of these, big jobs up at this chapter, and they're all volunteering. So these people are unpaid doing what they're doing, which takes countless hours of their time and probably people in their family as well to pull these things off. So we're going to talk about the conference today, but we're also going to talk about why being part of SHRM and this particular chapter is so important to Darcy and to so many others. So Darcy, thank you for being with us. Do you want to introduce yourself on any other level here?
No, thank you, Lee, for having me today. And I'm so excited to talk about the fall conference, which is really just a few short weeks away. So I really appreciate the opportunity to share with everybody the importance of CHRA as well as the fall conference. So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. When is the conference again? The dates are?
So the conference is, this year we're doing two dates. We're doing 2 half days, and it starts in the afternoon of November 4th at 12:30. And then we will close up that day after a networking hour, and we will resume the following morning at 8:30 in the morning. So we felt it was best, because we are doing a virtual conference, to allow our members only a half a day of sitting and participating virtually, give them a little bit of a break, and then come back the next morning. So it's 2 days.
Well, that's interesting. We're going to get into the logistics and the details of this conference in just a bit, because I think that's really different than what most people are doing on these virtual conversions, right? Going from an in-person conference to a virtual. I haven't heard of any breaking it up like that. And that's very interesting. So I'll be interested to understand why that is, why you guys went that way, which actually makes a lot of sense. All right. So I use glasses to see when I actually have to read the questions here. So first of all, I also want to thank everybody who's joining us live. My apologies for the last minute, but I will get to any questions that you have. Please post them in the comments. And if you don't have any questions, I will assume I did a darn good job asking questions. All right. So first question here is, I'm curious as to how long you've been a part of CHRA, the organization.
So just a few short years, actually. I'm a transplant to Maryland. My husband and I moved here in 2017, and it was shortly after that I got involved with CHRA. It was a recommendation of another HR professional, and I was so thankful that they opened me up to CHRA, because it really has been a wonderful organization just for me personally alone. So
it's interesting. Where did you relocate from?
So I was born and raised in Michigan, spent all of our life there. And so, yeah, just a few years ago, after our daughter graduated high school, we decided that we're going to open up our horizon and kind of venture out into the rest of the country. So we landed here in Maryland and love it.
How did we get so lucky to get you here in Maryland?
Oh, you're sweet.
I mean, there's like 50 other, options.
Well, I left my career in Michigan after 30 years I had spent with the organization. Yes. I know I'm extremely young, but 30 years with that organization. And after that, I decided that I was going to wait for my husband to find his next leg of his career. And so I did that. He landed here in Baltimore. And so
that's
amazing. Him. So
that's amazing. So did CHRA open up job opportunities for you, or did it open up? I mean, why CHRA? What has it done for you?
So really, I say it's really kind of given me a footing here in Baltimore. And yes, it not only opened me up to opportunities for career, but it also opened me up to a wonderful network of colleagues. And for me, that was why I really joined. Coming from Michigan, I had no network out here. I didn't know anybody. So, started reaching out here and there, and I was fortunate enough that somebody said, "Hey, you should try this." So I went to a monthly education meeting. And from there, I was fortunate enough to sit next to somebody that, again, was very welcoming and accommodating and introduced me to more people. And after that first meeting, I became part of the fall conference committee. And our committee is wonderful. This time, this 2020 has really taught us more than ever the importance of a network and colleagues within our field. HR, I think, has always been a collaborative and welcoming network of individuals. But this year we've needed that even more than ever. So I'm very grateful for CHRA, not only the people, but the resources that they post on their website, the connections. It's just, I recommend it to everybody I know.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And yeah, I agree with you. The same thing happened to me. I went to one meeting and immediately was introduced to Michelle Huggins. She was the first face I saw. And yeah, what better person, say, let me take your hand. You sit right here and watch. And it was actually what was it? I remember the 2019 Diversity Awards. So that was really cool. That was really cool. I'm sorry?
I was at that meeting as well. So,
oh, for goodness sakes. Yeah. See, that's how it all works, right? So just to be clear to everybody who is watching and those who aren't familiar with SHRM or the CHRA chapter, is that not only is this a super mega chapter, but all of the board of directors members, such as yourself, are doing all of this for absolutely free. You're not getting paid a dime to put on a conference that can often have 400 plus attendees.
That's correct.
That's huge.
It is. And you know what? Money is only one form of payment that people receive from their careers or for being a part of an organization such as CHRA. What I gain from them with the network, with the resources, with the camaraderie is more valuable than anything they could pay me.
Isn't that wonderful? And it's being of service, right? It's just what we're human resources people. So, being of service is what we do. We didn't get it for the money, did we? We did not get it for the money. No. Otherwise, we would not be working until we're 75. So let's talk about the conference. So let's talk more about that. So you have 2 conferences every year. Can you describe the difference between the 2? I know you're not responsible for the spring one, but what's the difference between the 2?
Sure. And the spring conference is typically around skills and abilities, if you will, and trying to help our HR professionals kind of lean into some of those. We tend to call them soft skills. How do we help with employee relations? How do we, what's coaching and counseling, as well as some other opportunities, learning and development, and along those lines. The fall conference is historically about, the legal and regulatory requirements of HR, those risk factors, if you will, that can really put an organization in harm's way just by the sheer legal side of it and the risk that's involved with it. So we really do gear our fall conference along those lines of what is new legislatively, what are some of the normal things that we deal with in our day-to-day base world, like FMLA, ADA, workers' comp, those things that really add risk to what we do. So we stick to that side of it. And then the spring conference does the other side of HR for us. We
I
couldn't
think
possibly
that's great.
fit it all into one conference.
No, you can't possibly. And this year has proven that it has really pushed the envelope on what we as HR practitioners know about the stuff that happens at the fall conference, the humanities side of it. But there's also been a lot of changes on the compliance side of things, and so now it's really become apparent how organizations need to think about HR. Do you think that HR has been elevated in an organization because of all that's happened this year?
Oh, absolutely. And by necessity, as much as by, the other aspects of it. But, we didn't know what we didn't know this year, right? And so it really did open us up to a lot of new learnings and, how we handle these unique employee situations that we're faced with. How do we manage an organization and support its employees during a pandemic? And there's just been so many different variations of what we've needed to do and put in place, from helping our employees with those that didn't have anybody to care for their young children so that they could go to work. Those others that, found themselves in a position of, being exposed to the pandemic, and how do we handle that? So, it's really been an opportunity for HR to kind of, elevate themselves at the seat at the table, if you will, which is really important for any organization. We know that.
And long overdue. Unfortunately, the pandemic took a lot of things to bring about positive change, right? As negative as it was, one of the positives is that I think the CHRO, and if smaller companies don't have a CHR, they now have a seat at the table and say, all right, now let's talk about people. Yeah. So Kirsten Miller makes a comment here. Thank you for joining us, Kirsten. She's saying network in 2020 is more important than ever. So true. So I want to talk about that as well. So, the fall conference is about compliance. How do we navigate today's complexity around compliance? If you notice on LinkedIn, I'm not sure how active most people are. I'm very active on social media. And I notice that people are really, that moment of truth has arrived. And people are drawing lots of lines in a whole, beach of sand. And so how do we as HR folks help our organization navigate that? Because some of these personal comments are also, they reflect on the organization. They reflect on people in the organization. So is this something that's going to be addressed at the conference? How does how does HR manage individual social media?
We get into a couple of really hot topics, and a couple of what's going on right now is not only the pandemic that we're faced with, but also the racial inequity that so many organizations are also navigating right now. And so we have geared our conference towards making sure that we give our members the tools to kind of work through some of the biases that are out there around race, work with the current cultural environment that we're faced with especially within Maryland and within Baltimore. And then we're also focused on getting around the current ADA. And I don't think we could have a fall conference without talking about ADA.
Oh, yeah.
And also then we're giving our leaders and participants an opportunity to kind of build on some of their leadership skills. Going back to that seat at the table, how is it that we continue that voice going forward, and that we commit to making sure that our leaders have the skills to kind of, influence CEOs, CFOs, and so on and so forth. So within those elements, I'm sure social media plays a role in that, and we will touch on it. What's unique is, as we're going through a virtual conference, and what I really like about this is, if we have members out there or attendees out there that have those questions about how do we handle social media, all of our speakers will be prepared to take questions.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we will be, have a portion of what they're covering will be pre-recorded. Most of it will be pre-recorded, but all of our speakers are going to be there live to field questions and make sure that no matter what the topic, that we can spin into what our attendees need as far as giving them the answers to their questions.
Okay, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I've not heard a lot of other venues change to that nature as well, like recorded, but have the speakers live. So that's another level of commitment for the chapter and for the speakers that you have. That's double time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about dedication to a craft, to a profession, right? So let's talk about this. How did you decide to go a half a day on the 4th in the afternoon and a half a day on the following day in the morning?
Sure. Well, Lee, as you can imagine, we start planning conferences well in advance. And we started the planning of this conference actually a little bit before COVID, but right around the same time frame. And so as we were talking about the proper venue, it became clear pretty quickly that having an in-person conference was not going to be an option for us this year for the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we started to look at what was already happening out in the environment, especially, with HR. We're getting, inundated with, webinar requests and, different learning opportunities. And what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to follow the path of what was already going on. And we didn't want to, because everybody is now working in this virtual arena where you're looking at a screen all day, and you don't have that interaction. What we didn't want is we didn't want to minimize what we were able to offer our attendees by shortening the program. And we also didn't want to put them in front of a screen for 8 hours. So as we were talking through it, we decided that, we have to go virtual. How do we best do that? How do we stand apart from the others? And how do we give our attendees something that is valuable, but also doesn't consume a full day of just staring at the screen?
Yeah.
So this really looked like our best option at the time. And we're really happy that we did it. And initially, we talked about a couple of different time frames, but then we decided the afternoon on the first day and the morning on the second, because again, it was a continuation of the original continuation. So we didn't want to have a big break in between. So there was a lot of thought and planning that went into it. And we felt that it would be best because we know how busy everybody is these days, more so than before. And so we wanted to offer them at least a half a day to do what they needed to do, either personally or professionally. And then the other half would be with our conference. So that's kind of how we came up with it. And we wanted it to be unique. We wanted it to be different than what everybody else was doing. And I think we've really achieved that. So we're very excited about the lineup.
I would say so. I think that's actually brilliant because you're allowing people a half a day to work. I think that's great. And usually there. And of course, this is a live broadcast, and my neighbors' dogs have all come out to say hello on this live broadcast. So apologies, everybody. All right. So that's great. So is this going to be done over Zoom? Do the participants need any special type of technology to join the conference?
It will be done via Zoom, and that's the only technology. We would love for them to have a webcam because we do have we have a networking event. So that's going to be really fun at the end of day one. Will be networking, and we're hoping that everybody that attends our conference will take an opportunity to attend that as well. We thought the networking was really critical to have in there because, again, you don't get to sit at a table with a colleague that you see once a year or twice a year at the conferences. So this was a way that we can bring everybody together. You can see old familiar faces, but at the same time, you can meet new friends. So we will have a 1 hour networking. And so that's where the camera would be very helpful. But other than that, you just need Zoom.
Okay, so everybody who's watching and those of you who are watching post live broadcast, cameras on at the networking event. We cannot hide ourselves any longer. We wouldn't be hiding ourselves if we went to the live event. So why would we not want to have these cameras on in the afternoon? And so we talked about networking early on. So how do you see that unfolding in a virtual setting? So you're going to have, how many people do you already have signed up for this? 200-300 people?
Yeah, we actually do. And what's interesting, Lee, is that we're tracking our numbers, and we have as many attendees currently signed up as we did the same time last year.
Amazing.
Yes, so it really is amazing. And we're anticipating, we do have, normally we do have over 500. The last couple of conferences we've had over 500 attendees. And we're really expecting that we can go, uh-oh.
I know. Everybody seeing that? This is great live stuff, man. I don't know why. We never lose power during the major thunderstorms, but when it's a nice, clear, dry day out.
And you're Zooming and you're doing a live webinar, right?
And we're doing a live webinar.
So, and I lost track of where I was, but
well, we're talking about the number of people that were attending, that you had the same amount at this time that you did last year. So how are you going to do a networking event with all those people on Zoom?
So we have a fun networking hour being planned. We're going to do a fun little activity in the beginning. I don't want to give away too much, but then we're also going to do breakout rooms for networking, and we're going to do two different, because we want to give everybody an opportunity to mix and mingle with other HR professionals out there, or not in other professionals. You know, we have a lot of attendees, not just HR people that attend. So we have planned that we'll do 2 breakout sessions, and we will have conversation starters. We may have a fun game. It just depends on how the room works, but it'll be facilitated, and we'll try to get everybody talking and interacting and, you know, sharing comments from the day's presentations, or just talking about current issues that they're having, or current concerns and that they want feedback to. So it really, I think this will probably be a very successful way to do a networking versus what we've done in person, because we've got folks that are dedicated to facilitate it, and we've set aside its own time, which we never really did before.
I love this idea. I think this is phenomenal, and it will offer more direct connection and get those relationships started. I mean, that's really hard to do in a room of 500 people, right?
But let me tell you too, Lee, we also have an app that's going to be used for our conference. Now, we had put together the app for the live conference, but we're carrying it through for the virtual. And here's the fun thing, is that our attendees will get contact information from their colleagues. So you'll be able to also connect and see who maybe was in your, you know, if I'm in a networking room with you, Lee, I can go and say, oh, Lee works for, I'm going to reach out to Lee. I want to hear more about Lee, or what she's doing regarding this. So we're also offering contact information for our colleagues, which again is a huge win.
That's huge. Well, hold on. Let's back up to the app. So 2 big bombs there. So you have an app. What is this app all about? This app is about the connection, about making that connection. Is that right?
Initially, it was planned to be part of our live or our in-person conference. So it'll have its schedule on there. It has all of our vendor and exhibitors posted on there. It will tell you about our speakers and give you their information. It will tell you about other attendees, who they are, where they work. You know, it's a great app. It's called Guidebook. And as our attendees register, they will get information about how to go on to Guidebook and get themselves set up. And everybody that checks in for Guidebook is going to be entered into a $100 gift card drawing. So just for signing into Guidebook, you're going to be offered a $100 gift card from Amazon. A chance to win that $100 gift card.
Okay, I can't even type this fast enough. So let's just make sure that everybody understands what's available here. So this is the first I've heard of this as well, and I'm completely blown away. So if you are looking to expand your network, you've just raised that opportunity tenfold. So there's going to be an app that's going to allow people to connect, right? Get their agenda and connect with one another through this contact information that's going to be provided through this app. That's right?
That's correct.
And so if you are looking for a job, if you are looking for services, if you're looking for a provider, if you are just curious about what somebody does or their organization does, the contact information, is this going to be available for all conference attendees that sign up on the app?
Yes. All they have to do is download the app and sign in.
Okay, so so the reason I think that this is so important is because most organizations don't disclose that kind of information, right? And I think that this follows the premise of CHRA being about its community, because even if as a member of CHRA, I can go onto the website and have access to the entire member directory. As part of the association. So it's nothing more than allowing this access. Once you actually make that human interaction, whether it's online or offline, you now have a warmer introduction to that person. This is huge, Darcy.
Yeah.
How did I not see this before? Is this not, we definitely, this is a good thing that we're having this call today. So I think it's great. So what's the investment that can you believe our 30 minutes is almost up here? So in the last couple of minutes, I know when you're excited about a topic, the time goes by very fast. So what is the investment that somebody at this point, if they wanted to register for the event, what's the investment that they'll be making?
Oh my gosh, you really stumped me. I just drew a blank on our numbers. I think,
that's okay. We can look at it. I'll post it later.
I think it's 185.
What is it?
I think it's 185.
For the entire event?
Yeah.
$185.
Yes.
Is that the member rate or is that the non-member rate? Do you know?
That would be the member rate. I got it.
That's excellent.
We might have to cut this live stream and go.
No, we don't. No, we don't. So we're going to say it's under $200 for a member, and it's probably slightly over $200 for a non-member. I think that I was expecting to hear $1,200.
Oh goodness, no.
I really was expecting to hear that. So this is, people should be thrilled because they're getting these fees in the thousands for 1 and 2 day conferences online still. Yeah.
We want to stay consistent with the live version too. So we did not. Yeah.
That's incredible. So there's really no excuse, right?
No. To come and network, but it's also, we've got a great lineup too, Lee, and I know we're out of time, but I do want to mention a few of our speakers.
Sure, absolutely.
So our keynote on day one is going to be Johnny Taylor, who is the CEO and president of CHRA. And Johnny's going to join us, and he's going to have an interactive dialogue with Jason Nimoy, who you probably all know. And they're talking about bias in the workplace, unconscious bias, and how do we navigate through that. We have David Fram, who is very well known through the SHRM community, and he's going to be speaking on ADA. And really, there's always things to learn and changes that we need to be aware of, especially in the day of COVID. There's things that we need to make sure that we're protected by. Additionally, we have a local Doug Damaris and Dr. Reverend Hathaway are going to speak. And we love the fact that they are local to Baltimore, because they're also going to speak about civil rights in 2020 and how that's affecting our organizations. On day two, we have kicking off Anirban Basu, who again is one of those speakers that everybody has requested year after year. So we brought him back. It's been a few years, so we brought him back. So I know everybody's excited about that. We have Adam Kastnes, who is speaking to us. He's a local attorney, and he's going to be talking about marijuana in the workplace. That is another topic that comes up on our requests for topics. And so it's becoming more and more prevalent. So he's going to speak. And then finally, we have Tracy Spears, who is going to be coming to us from Oklahoma. She's probably coming from the furthest away, but Tracy is a very well-known speaker and highly regarded in leadership. So she's going to be taking us through, again, that seat at the table and how do we influence and how do we help our organizations become stronger.
Didn't Tracy write a book on that? I want to say that her name rings a bell, and there's a book with her name on it. And
Tracy
I just
has a book, yes, and
can't remember the name of it. Oh, and it looks like we just lost Darcy, so we'll see if she can hop back in. If not, we will go ahead and close out this session. But wow, what a lineup! What an incredible lineup that the CHRA Fall Conference has. It's again for members, it is under $200. For non-members, it is slightly over $200, and it's worth it. So, and Anirban Basu, I had no idea he was going to be there. Here comes Darcy.
I don't know what happened. I'm so
There
sorry.
we go. There we go.
The problem with the live versions, right?
I was just doing a little tap dancing, reciting some of the people that you were having at the conference, hoping you would get back on. So yes. We are out of time, Darcy, but I did remind people what the price was, under 200, over 200. What a lineup. Anirban Basu and Jonathan Taylor. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right.
I'm very excited.
So I am a little biased. I am a CHRA member. I am a CHRA member. And this is my hometown and this is my profession. And I want to thank Darcy and all the board members for making all of these events and all this information available to us. Membership is really inexpensive. It's $90 as an individual. Really affordable, which is far less than most associations. So again, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you all at the conference. Have a wonderful day. And Darcy, if you can hang on for just a second while we end our live stream. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.